Start your day with Photoshop Creative Challenges hosted by Sam Peterson every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Tune in and challenge yourself with a new prompt each day. Hello, everyone. I am DTM, aka Delta Tango Mike, and we are with the amazingly talented Chris Blackstock, freelance illustrator and character designer, drawing for environment design with Adobe Photoshop. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Doing well. Excited to get started on this today.
Nice, nice. Tell us what we're gonna do today, or what are we gonna watch you do?
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I do a lot of character design. I do some minimal other things like environment and visual development, but I really wanted to push myself today, really flesh out an environment design. So I had a pirates that I had kind of drawn, and I wanted to kind of give them a place that they go to count their treasure and coins and fend off everybody else who's trying to steal it. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be specifically built for animation. So we're just going to be kind of have that in mind as we're making this today and tomorrow. So should be fun.
Nice, nice. A Pirate's Cove. That's where they keep their games hidden from the world. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Awesome. We'll go for it. Show us your screen. Let's see what you got going on. I will encourage everyone who's watching this right now to check out Chris Blackstock's Behance. There's a link in the description of the video that you can check out right now. And big ups to everybody that's where everybody, I'm sorry. Big ups to everybody who's already leaving us comments in the chat. We see Steve, Sam, what's up? Annika, RB, Enlightened Swami. Did I say Sam already? Sam, what's up? Sean, thank you all for joining us today. Please leave comments, questions, and suggestions in the chat, and I will pass them on to Chris. Robert in the house. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, everybody, hi. I mean, you guys know I'm from also helping out on Adobe Live and hosting, so I definitely recognize some names and faces. So it's always good to have everybody in here. Okay, let's get rolling. So I guess first, do I got these guys in here? Okay, I'm going to show you the pirates first. Let's get these guys. So, oops. I had drawn these guys. Let's just blow them up real quick. Whoop. You guys can kind of see them here.
Lots of cool characters. Those are awesome.
Thank you. We'll kind of zoom in on there. Okay, so this was where it all started from. We've got the female captain here. She's rocking it. She's already counting her coins. She's obviously had to fight off some other potential thieves. So she's the captain of the ship. I got a little shark bite there, so she's had some close calls. Then we've got our big burly cook. Got these nice big round shapes. Definitely got a little hook, one of the shark hooks, right? One of those big shark hooks they use for fishing as one of his hands. Other hand, he's cooking a fish head. He's got some accoutrements, some condiments, some fresh vegetables there hanging on his belt.
Some hot sauce.
And then, yeah, some hot sauce. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're traveling everywhere. They for sure got the best spices, right?
Yeah.
And then over here, we've got the drunk, the guy with the parrot. Occasionally fires off his little musket too many times there. So he's drinking the poison, having fun. So this is where it started. This is kind of where I was like, you know what? It'd be really fun to see kind of where they hid out in between adventures and partied, I guess. So, okay, so there's that. And let's see. So initially, I had... Oh, did I blow? Okay. So initially, I had kind of started with this sketch. And I wanted this idea of there would be this island and this sea monster kind of bit this ship in half. But in doing that, had died as well and kind of had rotted away on this bluff in the middle of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked it. I was like, okay, I want to push that a little bit more. And so kind of started to flesh it out here. But there's a few things that I didn't really like yet. Let me see if I can.
As Chris is describing this, thank you for the questions. Enlightened, this is a sketch. I think this is all in Photoshop. So art.
Everything's in Photoshop.
Yes. Thank you for the questions. I appreciate it. And Steve says he is an awesome artist. So yes, I agree, Steve.
Oh, thanks, Steve. So I wanted an entryway. So I don't have an entryway yet. So that needs to be fixed. This shape just doesn't feel big enough yet. Like I really wanted something to enter into. So I wanted to fix that. And then here, this is great because I like this kind of corkscrew, but I want it to feel like it's wrapping up, and it just felt disconnected here. So we're not ready yet, right? We're gonna move on. So now we've got it, but there's still no entrance, so this still needs to be fixed. We've moved this up, so now we have it. We can kind of see it wrapping around now, so that's a little bit better. Kind of added some stuff here, so I'm digging it more, but it's not there yet. So now I feel like I'm getting closer, and there's gonna be a plot twist at the end. So,
all right.
Because we'll get there. But so now good.
And there's an island now. It looks like it washed ashore. Everything washed ashore. Sorry.
Right now we're on an island, right? And so now we can kind of see everything. We've got our entrance here. We can see they've kind of built a walkway going up into the ship. The ship's fleshed out. We got an anchor entrance, some palm trees. So I'm like, okay, I think this is pretty good. And so I went and made a final drawing for it.
Wow.
And so I was sitting here and I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, this is great. But then I was reminding myself, what am I making this for? And the characters I'm making it for. And it still didn't feel pushed enough. And it didn't feel like there was enough oomph. Like it wasn't there yet. And it seemed almost maybe a little too complicated in some places. And I wanted, because I'm going for this TV animation style, kind of like, Disney, like, not their films, but, some of their shows that they have, like Gravity Falls, Owl House, DuckTales. So like graphic, bigger shapes. And so I was like, you know what? This is kind of my safe space. I don't want to do this. So I scrapped this drawing. This isn't what we're going to do. This is the plot twist. But I wanted to show, this is what I went through to get to somewhere and I decided that's not where I want to end up. So, it's good to kind of show this process where you can go through all these different iterations, but it might not end up being what you need for, either the shot or the film or the game or the show. So, and also I was like, it could just be on a tropical island, but I feel like there's less fear there. Like, cause then I'd end up with these big, bright tropical colors. And it just didn't feel like it had the same mood that I wanted. So we're scrapping that. It's gone.
Wow.
We'll go back. Maybe I'll go back and color it later down the line because it's a fun drawing. So I adjusted some things. We didn't get rid of everything.
Okay.
So now we're going back. So now this is the design that we're doing today, and I'll kind of explain why I'm going with this. Yeah. So we started here, and as much as I loved that corkscrew design, it didn't. I really wanted it to feel like you enter here. Oops. Hold on. Sorry. Let me move this guy to here. Okay. So I really wanted you to feel like you entered here. And I really wanted it to feel like this thing would end up. I wanted it to feel like this sea monster had tried to completely eat this ship and kind of failed in the process, So this was closer. I flipped the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got it on the other side, and it's almost there. We're almost there. We've got this nice entryway. Kind of got this dark, this is looking good.
I like the teeth coming out of the ground too. I don't know if those are
right.
teeth, but that's cool.
Yeah, they're teeth, right? And so that that created our kind of like, the posts of a door, an entryway, or an arch.
Yeah.
That's representative of that, right? Like things that graphically are just going to look a little bit better. So I kind of adjusted the angle a little bit more so you could see how this is kind of closed off. So I opened that up, and then I was like, okay, we really need to connect this now. So we connected it, and I was like, wow, it'd be really great if this was just where he busted through, right? Instead of there being a door, you can see the continuation now. And then now we've got the tailfish coming off the end. So now, after all that, we finally have the continuation and the story that's really easy to read. It's not too complicated, and now we've got a nice kind of clean design where you enter here, focal points, this first read, and then you come here, second read, see it, have some treasure, all that good stuff. So then we get here, and this is basically the final sketch. And so now this is where we're going to start today is, I've got a few more things I need to flesh out. I need to work on, this area a little bit. I need to fix some of these things in here with the ship, just kind of get some better structure. And then we're going to kind of decide in here if there's any more, story elements or things that I wanted to block out. So this is where we're headed. So we're going to pull up the sketch, the final.
There's one more.
There's one more. So that was like, it's bigger. It's just bigger.
Okay.
That was just, that was just brought down for.
We got a lot of awesome comments that we're going to get to in a second. Go ahead.
Oh shoot. Did I just stretch the whole thing? Whoops. I might have just stretched it all out. I totally did. Okay. You know what? Funny thing is I totally made a oopsie, and I'm going to close out of this really quick.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best way. Just close it. Don't save it.
Yeah. I accidentally transformed it because I transformed the group instead of the layer. So happens all the time. Okay. So this is kind of where we are. So now we've got our sketch here. And I'd kind of made some notes going into this, kind of things that I want to do to get this sketch completely finalized, so I can start inking it.
And is that sketch opacity layer? Is the layer opacity low?
Yeah. So we got it's at 16%. It's at 16% right now.
Okay.
So this is where I drew the whole thing with like a pencil brush. It's this concept artist, Jens Claessens. Really cool concept artist, character designer. I think he worked on Borderlands, some other stuff. Look him up, Jens, I think Classens. But he does some brushes that are really cool. So there's a pencil brush set that he has that I got. Because I probably this too. It's like I come from a very traditional background. Like I was always drawing pencil to paper. So I like when I have those sketches to kind of keep that feel like I'm still doing that, So.
Gotcha. This is awesome. We got a couple of questions, a ton of questions
shoot,
already. Oh my gosh. Elizabeth Mock, thank you for your questions. Is asking, do you normally sketch with multiple colors initially? Because we saw that you had like different sketches. Is it easier for you to separate different planes of field?
Yeah. Right. Like sometimes it's easier when you're delineating shapes. You're like, okay, this is my main shape, and then I'm gonna have a shape wrapping around that, and then so it's you're kind of breaking down your composition. Because it can get kind of jumbled when you just have one color and you're sketching. So it's kind of nice to differentiate between those as you're doing it.
Right. And we saw like two different versions of exploration sketches. And so the next question is, if you can share, what is the range of time for all of this? And does it depend on the complexity?
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, I think this was more than what I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do environments as much, and
Mm-hmm.
so this was a lot more challenging for me. So I kind of gave myself some more time to
Mm-hmm.
really think about what I'm making. If this was character design or some other illustration where maybe the environment isn't as featured,
Mm-hmm.
um, it depends. Sometimes you get the design you want,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the first try, or you get somewhere close to that.
Right.
But you know, working, you know, in games or film or animation, almost I probably 100% of the time they're never gonna take the first iteration. Like you
Right.
always have to go back, clean
Mm-hmm.
up, change, alter,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just what you want, right? It's you're talking about multiple people, if not
Mm-hmm.
30, 40 people, whoever, but there's lots of people looking at this, making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying more and more to try to art direct myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I was looking at this objectively from what we need done for the film or the story or the animation, and then try to go look, be like, instead of it being like, oh, that's a cool design, be like, well, how does it serve the project?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think when I was doing that first design, there was a lot of things that I liked that looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was trying to make the story work around those cool designs instead of, okay, I need to retool this and it needs to be story first.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do I design it to
Mm-hmm.
make that story work? So it all depends.
Right.
Sometimes, I mean, this definitely took a few days for me to just kind of get all this stuff together.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, sometimes it's hard with time to tell because I also have two kids and I'm doing other things. And so, you know, sometimes I'm here from 8 at night till 1 in the morning, and then that's my chunk of time. And then I got
Mm-hmm.
to, you know, so um, yeah, it just all depends really on what the needs are of the project, how hard you want to push yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
What?
usually stuff like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna ask, is this the highest number of iterations that you've had to do, or have
Um,
there been other projects where it just takes a long
no,
time to
there's
get to the
been,
final?
yeah, I mean, a recent project I did took about 2 months, and it was just for two characters and two backgrounds. But we would work on it, and it was all based on style,
Mm-hmm.
and doing style exploration.
Mm-hmm.
So what was happening is they were like, do this many styles, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll come back and kind of come back around and look at it. And then it was like, okay, we like this and this. So now, so it was just
Mm-hmm.
piecing things together.
Mm-hmm.
So that took almost 2 months to bring to finish. And if I was doing that on my own and I was making those decisions, that would have probably taken me about a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of depends on who's making the decisions, how, what the client has to also know what they want, and sometimes they don't, and they are hiring you to
Uh-huh.
figure that out for them, especially as
Mm-hmm.
a concept artist and character designer.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a part of your job is helping them find that voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and their job is to make edits, and they won't make edits until you have something drawn up. So you have to have
Right.
something put together, and that's the work that nobody sees in the
Right.
very beginning. Mm-hmm. Very
Yep.
cool. Nice, nice. This is all of it looks beautiful. All of it looks awesome. Folks are
Thank you.
Chris. Steve says a while back, Chris did a great character dedicated to the famous Canadian scientist Dr. David Suzuki. That was a fun stream.
Yes.
Annika, it says, I remember that. And Elizabeth has posted a link to that Behance stream.
What?
So check it out. Yes. So,
Awesome.
yes, Yes, very cool. Make sure you follow Chris. The links are in the description of this video, and you can check out his website. I was checking out your Instagram, and oh my gosh, I'm a character artist. I love drawing
Mm-hmm.
characters, and
Mm-hmm.
you are a master.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. It's funny because I mean I'm actually taking a course right now. You know, it's like I feel like I'm an old man. I'm like almost 40 years old, and I'm still, I know I can learn so much
Mm-hmm.
more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to know that people appreciate it, and because you know how it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's kind of this constant work you're putting in, and you hope it's being recognized and that people enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And you're always learning. That's another thing. Like
Yeah,
what you just said, you're
completely.
taking a course is like, yeah, no matter how long you've been doing this or how great your work is and the praise, there's always something that you want to learn to add to your type of art style or skills. And so we're always growing. That's awesome.
Yep.
Hmm.
That's and I think it took me a while to kind of not figure it out, but let go of my ego.
Hmm.
And because it can be tough, especially if you've had a little bit of success or just having a lot of experience. There are gonna be points where you're like, I don't need to do that, or like, I got this. You can kind of get in your own way.
Hmm.
And I think since I've been moving more into doing animation and trying to work more with that, it's really humbled me because it's just the level of talent that is involved in the entertainment industry is unreal.
Hmm.
And so, really trying to not really compete, but keep up with some of
Hmm.
these artists has been really humbling and really awesome because it's very inspiring to kind of constantly see what some of these people produce.
Yes, that's right. You look at the artists out there as an inspiration, not competition. That's right.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's fun. It's always like healthy competition for anything
Hmm.
is great, right?
Yeah.
Like and it's what they always say and it's really true is your biggest competition is yourself
Right.
because in the end it's like you're on your own path, you've got your own story,
Hmm.
and it doesn't really matter what these other people are doing because they're not you, they're not your life. So don't try your hardest not to compare yourself
Hmm.
um, as you're making this journey because you will always be disappointed.
Yeah.
You'll
Yes.
always and it's a trap. You're trapping yourself and it's not worth it.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
it's a much better place to come from of like what can I do to be better? What can I
Hmm.
learn? What can I teach other people? Which
That's right.
I think as I get older is the coolest part is like, okay, well, yeah, I learned this stuff, but like, how could I share that with others?
Hmm.
Because that's also an important part of the journey. And
Yeah.
um,
And when
so
you share with others, it reminds you of what you know.
completely, I like just
Yeah.
doing this stuff. It's like, okay, I can't just sit here and draw and do whatever I want. I've got to explain my process. I've got
Hmm.
to really break down
Hmm.
why I'm making these decisions,
Hmm.
which exactly is it's really hard sometimes, but it's a very good way to really make sure you're thinking about what you're drawing, how you're drawing it.
Hmm. Very cool. Well, Daryl says every day is a school day and surround yourself with people better than you. They inspire and make you better. That is correct, Daryl. That's how I feel.
Yep, yep, yep.
Nice, nice. So, Chris, tell us right now you got a fresh new layer. You're doing your penciling, your clean pencils. We're going for a sketch still.
Yeah, I'm just kind of cleaning some of this up, adding a few more details.
Hmm.
Um, I've got so I can show you really quick kind of where we're headed. Um, so I've got this line work that I'm going to be doing on top of this, and it's going to be very graphic. It's going to be very much like a brush pen style, some really thin lines and then some really thick lines. And when we kind of start rolling into it, we're going to be trying to really bring in these cool textures and stuff that sit in those nice lines. So that's where we're headed.
And I see the notes to yourself on the bottom left. Is that so you don't forget what brush you're using?
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
I know.
Yes.
Because I'm so terrible with like saving brushes. I'm like, I just need to write it down because I'm gonna forget. And it's I guess that's like an old person style.
You got to do that. You have to. It's because it's so digital in the traditional medium. You can set aside the pencils along with the drawing and say, okay, these pencils is what I've been using with this drawing. When I come back to it, I'm gonna sit down and pick up these pencils. I know these go with the drawing. But digital, you're working on so many different projects or sketches or even drawing for yourself. After a while, it's kind of hard to keep all that in your head, and there's no place on the screen. Or I guess you can make your groups and all libraries, but eventually it's a lot of work to just keep track of all of that.
It's like, okay, proper way, it's like you should do that and then save that brush, right? Keep that brush and make, but at a certain point, that kind of stuff can just kind of get in the way of the process. So if there's an easier way to do it or a way that's a little more comfortable, as long as it's helping you out and helping getting that drawing done faster, or having quick references, definitely go that way.
Yeah. Do what you can to stay in that zone. That's right.
Definitely.
Elizabeth says the brush is hidden behind your cameras. Yes, Elizabeth, you didn't get to see it. Everybody else didn't get to see it. I saw it because I get a different shot of the screen that was on the bottom left. That was some awesome.
Yeah, there you go. It's right there.
There you go. Look at that. Bam. There we go. That's your shot.
Box.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. So yeah, let's just and we're not going to spend too much time on this because I think some of these decisions I might be making on the fly when I'm inking, which I try to avoid that sometimes, but then for stuff like this, and I love inking, and just like I used to do with microns all the time, or Pentel the brushes, and so there is a intuitiveness when you're doing that. Like as long as you have the design there, like you feel you kind of know where everything is and how it's working. It is nice to leave a little bit there for you to kind of make some on the fly decisions. I think that can help.
Yeah, don't
kind of adds,
it
puts
now.
the energy. Yeah, it kind of puts the energy back into the drawing.
And then sometimes when you come back to a drawing and you're in that next step, different ideas come to you, and you will change your mind anyway.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yep, exactly.
And as you're sitting there sketching, I'm gonna keep talking and
please.
and ask you, what are you drawing on? I know you're on Photoshop, and what kind of device?
So I am on a 24-inch Cintiq Pro. So yeah, it's fancy. For a long time, I was on a 13-inch, Cintiq. I was on that for 6 years, and it just got to a point where I was like, I can't. Like, it's getting carpal tunnel and like my shoulders, and I just it was killing me. So I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And so I just kind of went for it and invested in one of these because they're not cheap. I mean, it's like $2,000, I think, to get one of these guys. So, but this is what you got to do all day, and this is what you're doing for a living. You want to be comfortable. You don't want your body to be in pain all the time. You want to be able to work faster, smarter, not harder, right? So
that's right.
I think those are some things that informed my decision to just go for it.
Yeah, it's an investment into your career, into your art, and it's definitely something that you appreciate once you have it. Yes.
Yeah, but you know, if there's someone to invest in, yourself, you know, make sure you invest in yourself, and it's really important. Okay, so I think the only other thing, no, that was off. Okay, and so as I make this, I'm gonna end up attaching this into the final layer. So just get rid of that. So I'm not going to do much. Like before, in my other drawing, I really had a lot of details, and I kind of wanted to pull a lot of that back.
Especially since in animation, you expect someone else to animate certain elements and things.
Yes.
So you don't want to make it too complicated, right?
Exactly. And so, you know, the more you can do with shape, kind of simpler shapes, and you know, and obviously the backgrounds, it can depend, right? Like, you know, you look at Disney films or any other like anime, they've got these crazy detailed backgrounds, but they're not animating the backgrounds, right? They're doing these big pan shots, they're walking through the backgrounds. So, and I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've noticed it, but if you watch old cartoons, you know right away what's going to be animated because it's cell shaded. It's not painted. Like, you know, it doesn't have a painterly style. It's got this flat graphic style. And you're like, oh, that rock's about to fall off the cliff because it's way simpler than the rest of that background. So yeah, so that's what I was like, okay, I gotta break this down a little bit and not be so tight.
And before we went live, we were talking about a comic book project you worked on. And so the basics of your process may be similar, but how the final product, those details matter a lot, because like comic book doesn't move. So you can go as crazy as you want with details, but when you're animating, yeah, you definitely have to have a different mindset when it's final product.
Yeah, it's so different, and you know, I'm such a detail oriented person that I'm this point of this is really pushing myself to not go that way too much, to really, even if I have some of those details in this sketch, when I go to do that line drawing, I'm going to probably pull back even more on some of those, or add some kind of simpler details in other places. So
nice.
You know, the sketch is always kind of, for me, it's a guide. I don't want it to be my end all be all. Because I want to make sure that I want my information there, but since I am doing a final line drawing, it doesn't all need to be finished or perfect. Okay.
Big ass to everybody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. No, go ahead.
Let me jump in here. Yeah. Big ups to everybody joining us in the chat. Thank you for leaving comments. Hello, Misty. Steve says Flash was a struggle. I think there was a conversation going on about vector brushes between Steve and Roy. It's cool. And Elizabeth says, yep, classic Scooby-Doo. I remember those old cartoons. And yes, like there are parts of the background that have this amazing pastels and oil looking artwork, and it's like, yeah, that's you're not gonna see anything move there, so you can always tell the difference between the animated parts and just background parts. And Steve says the coyote sure could have used that wisdom. Yes. Thank you all for the comments. Go ahead, Chris.
Going headlong into those beautifully painted backgrounds and those big graphic holes. Okay, so now if we increase the opacity, let's see, and get rid of some of that, you can kind of start to see it come out. That's fine. That's pretty good.
That's how I want my lines to look when I sketch. Yes.
Yeah. So now we're looking pretty good here. Okay. So the ship looks a lot, I like that ship a lot better. So then one of the other things, let's combine that. So now it's all in one layer. So we go. Mm-hmm. I was trying to work out this eye here. So I've got these notes. Let's see. So originally I think I had some candles. Mm-hmm. In here. I think I had some trips.
Oh, okay. And that's a good spot, the eyeball, because that's where you can see, or the fish should be able to see. And
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and so that's kind of where I had, and then we can just I pressed the wrong. Oh, whoops. It's naming the layer instead of making the brush bigger. Okay. Oops. So let's see. So that way you'd kind of something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think I like that because I want to be able to see. There's a part of me that wants to be able to see, I'll make that red so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. I want to see this step down here because I want to see it leading, the whole point is to really make sure you can see that path. So, but when I had nothing here, it felt like too much information and it was almost too detailed. So I think I like that there.
I like the candle. So, I think the candle's too big, but I like the candle. And and it should be big because of the eyeball, and it has more of an eyeball reference.
Yeah, and it's and it's gonna be this one would be multiple candles, right? So that would be this one's right here, and that one's they're kind of all melted into each other.
Oh, I see. That's right.
Yeah, so there could be or it could just be one. I don't know yet.
Sorry, I don't want to direct or nothing. I just make it.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? You think it'd be better if it was just like kind of like one big one there?
I think I like what you're saying, that you want to show a little bit of information of what's inside of the window in the eyeball, but I also don't want. I feel like I don't want the candle to be so big that you kind of don't see that those are the steps, even though your eye is going to fill in the rest of the information. The candle will feel just a little big, but I mean, there's no wrong way to go about it. It's a cool
completely
idea.
So so we can look at that.
It's a great idea. Back. And as you work on that, Daryl, I am thinking the same thing. Did Chris use reference photos for the ship and fish skeletons as a starting point? Is that something that you do?
Yes. So, I had it. I mean, there's definitely was just like a thing where I kind of looked up.
Tell us about it. You don't have to.
Yeah, I just looked up fish skulls originally, and that was one thing that I did. And then I was looking into kind of what are some more interesting ones, because in the original one, I don't know if you guys remember. So it was really, the teeth were much bigger. And this one was based off of, it's like a prehistoric armored fish. God, what's it called? It's like Dunkleodon or something. I can't remember what it's called. Okay. But it's really just armor plated. And it's got these giant, like, spiked shovel teeth. And it's so originally that's kind of what I wanted. And then I kind of pulled that back, and I was like, maybe more of a fish here. Because, you know, if this was a skeleton, complete skeleton, it's like you probably wouldn't have this big fish lip.
Right.
You know, some of this other stuff. But design wise, it's just like it makes it more fun if I have it there. And so I kind of just was like, you know what, that'll be my decision to keep it.
Creative license.
Yes, you know, this is a cartoon.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there's not dudes that look like that cook either. You know? So I was like, all right, well, that'll be okay.
Sam Peterson says, Dunkleosteos.
Okay. Okay, that's what it's called.
That's a tough word. All right.
Yeah, I said Dunkleodon or something. That's close.
Dunkleosteos is an extinct genus of large armor-jawed fishes that existed during the late Devonian period, about 382 million years ago. Crazy. Ooh, scary. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, if you see that thing, it's intense.
It's like a big piranha.
With like, you know, teeth probably 30 times the size.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like the reference is them just like eating sharks, you know, prehistoric sharks. Like, It's like, oh dear God. So, okay, well, cool. So I think I like that advice because then here it kind of gives more space for this flame too. And so we can kind of do that. That's good.
Yeah. And I like that the candle on the right. That's pretty cool too. It's just framed in the middle of the eyeball. That's cool.
Yeah, so I think we're in a good place here. Okay, so cool. So now we've got that. We can just erase out some of this.
So Roy Thomas says he finally seen the fish skeleton. Yes, all this talk about eyeballs. Yes, we were talking about a fish skull the whole time.
The whole time.
That's cool. Yes.
Okay. Sweet. All right. You know, and then the front, maybe I could clean this up just a little bit. Just make sure his hand is a little more legible there.
I see a skull. That's cool. I love skulls.
Yeah, he just kind of gave up here. He was like, you know what? I'm just going to drink, relax on this beautiful beachfront property here.
Not a bad way to go.
Yeah. So some of the things that I designed in here, I can kind of show you guys just a little more. I'll make it a second. So I wanted to make sure that the things that I was doing were all kind of leading into the mouth. Because that's really where I want you to start this kind of journey, right? Because you're going to go in here and then we're going to follow it up to the hideout. So when I'm placing these boards, you know, they're here. This is going up into here. This kind of fish, you know, his little fin. This is leading over here. So you've got these going up into here. So you kind of want to think as you're designing, you want to be able to, you know, guide the viewer's eye. So those were just a few little things that I thought helped with that action. So, and there was one thing, and I'm not sure I'm going to do it, but I'm curious what you guys think. I was thinking of adding some kind of thing here. Some kind of lantern or light in front of this entrance. And originally the idea was that it was, you know, some kind of harpoon thing that's kind of how they got him, right? But I don't know. I'm not sure if it messes with the silhouette of it, and maybe it's just too much. I don't know. What do you guys think?
What do you guys think in the chat? Should we encourage Chris to finish that harpoon lamp or keep it off and let the fish breathe in the entrance?
Let the fish. Yeah.
That's the thing about composition. You always have to consider different ideas and
and I'm leaning slightly against it just because of this shape here. even though it does have this cool kind of like anglerfish aspect to it, but I wonder if I had that, would I have to, get rid of this?
And it also creates another light source. So
that was the big thing. It was like, do we want kind of just these to be this light source that's kind of lighting this area up? Or did we want a big light source here? I don't know.
If like your client, show me both finished products and we'll decide.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So then we can do that, right? We can just go ahead and we can just duplicate my sketch.
Right. And Sam,
so that I have a copy.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sam?
Sam says, I like the shape it creates. Also seems like it could create a really cool lighting scheme at night. Swinging in the wind, creating a street light effect at the entrance. And the swinging, I agree.
Yep.
I agree with the swinging.
All right.
But
do you think I should keep should maybe I push the horns back a little bit?
I don't know. I really like those horns too.
I know. I'm trying to think if this feels, maybe it's okay. I don't know. I'm going to mess with this really quick.
There you go. That's right. Bam. Gotta love digital. You can just
yeah, right.
Make a selection, move it around. Yes. If this was an ink sketch, you have to start drawing all over.
Yep. Okay. So now that if we have that a little push back, let's see. I think that could work. What do you think? Let's see.
Anybody else has opinions? Leave it in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. Do you agree or disagree? And Roy says agreed.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and have that there. Maybe. Let's see. Now, do we like it? Lamp.
That's right. So there goes that boat.
Yeah. Let's get behind the lip. Okay. So now let's we got to figure this out now. New challenge. So that's there.
I'm gonna jump in here and welcome everyone. If you're just tuning in on YouTube or Behance, remember to subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment, question, or suggestion so that we know you are here. We can't tell that you're watching unless you say something. Yes. And of course, Adobe Live replays are always available when we are offline, and we have replays on both YouTube and Behance. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the creative goodness.
Okay. So cool. We're going to go for this. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pull up an old harpoon here. Pretty much know what they look like, but it's always good to have some quick reference.
I'm all about references. You must, if it's possible, find a reference.
Yeah, it's good to have. You know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this on this layer. Let's see.
Clever, and it says, I love the lamp. Very cool. So far, everybody has agreed to the lamp.
Okay, good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. So at this point, you just have to agree. I'm sorry. It's not coming out.
What's up, Wade? What's up, Pool Kid? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Yes. If you're just joining us, freelance illustrator and character designer Chris Blackstock is exploring environmental designs and why it's just as important as the characters. It's amazing to watch him work.
Okay. Oops. That was the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Elizabeth. That's right. We could get the lamp. That's right. Mm-hmm. And Roy is asking, remind me of the shortcut to increase and decrease brush size, please. Is that something you use? Keyboard shortcuts?
Yeah, it's the parentheses key.
Okay.
So the right and left, the right parentheses increases the size, the left parentheses decreases the size. So that's one that I use. I know there's other ways to do it. I also have one of these, which I need to be using more of. But on if you're using a Cintiq, you could buy one separately. I think it works with all Cintiqs, but it's kind of like a hotkey pad. But yeah, it's definitely, if you guys are drawing a lot, painting a lot on the computer, definitely try to understand your hotkeys. Which ones you like, customize them. Everybody works a little different, so
nice.
But it's definitely good to know. It speeds up the process just a little bit.
Thank you, Annika. She's shared what the keystrokes look like right there in the chat, so check it out.
There you go. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this is kind of tied on to that.
All those details. I want to draw now. I don't know about you guys. But if you feel the creativity, you need to draw, because right now I feel like doing my own little pirate code. Like, yes, with a big fish.
Let's see, how can we do this?
And I remember the Predator movie, Aliens versus Predators. They had these big whale skeletons in the part of the environment, and that was amazing.
Whale skeletons are just awe-inducing. I mean, they're so cool. Yeah, have you seen the new one?
Yes,
the new
I
Predator.
Saw it.
Was it good?
I'm a fan. Anyways, they could have just had a Predator sitting down on the couch reading a newspaper.
Yeah, like, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
I'll watch it.
Yes. I don't care for the part where they're rewriting the story, or when was the first contact versus who this predator is. I don't care about all that, but I do care about the visuals and seeing the predator in action. So that was pretty good.
Right. They did it. They did a good job.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it looked pretty. It's funny because when I first saw the first previews, I was like, but the more I've seen of it, especially the practical effects that they did on it, look insane. Right. The Predator suit looks beautiful.
And I wish there was more shots of the actual Predator versus the CGI where it's like invisible. Like, I want to see him. I want to see. Yeah.
The cheesiest part of Predator is like his main cloaking device.
Right.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that.
And Becca, thank you, Becca, for your comment. Says, "LOL, that's how I feel about Jurassic Park. I'm happy just seeing dinos."
Dude, seriously though. Right? Like, one of the best parts of Jurassic Park was just like the first reveal. I think it was the Brachiosaurus or whatever. That you're just like,
it's moving. Oh no, it's looking at me.
Okay, so that's cool. I like that. I'm glad you guys said add that. That's fun.
That's a cool looking knot. It looks like a real knot. Nice.
Look at that.
Yeah.
occasionally make good things. We're gonna have to figure out this knot here. This is gonna be a little bit. Let's see.
And Roy Thomas says, "Yeah, I'm gonna break out Kyle's liner number 20." That's right. Go ahead. You too could draw just like Chris.
Yep. just keep going. I mean, honestly, I feel like with all of these things, it's really just how much time do you have to practice? You know, it's all of this is just really mileage, right? You're just trying to put as much mileage. It's like the opposite of some things where you're just like, oh, you gotta, take it easy. But really with drawing, it's, how much can you sketch and draw and, push your imagination? Because I remember first going to art school, and I always like saying this, but when I first got there, I was pretty decent and felt like I was in a good place. And I definitely had those moments where I'd see other students and be like, what are they doing here? They can barely draw. And like, what? Because for me, it's like, I've been doing this my whole life. This is what I've wanted to do forever. And it just didn't make sense with some people why they were there. And 4 years later, those same people that, I nose up, kind of like I'm better, are crushing it because they worked harder, longer. They were persistent. I think your work doesn't always have to be consistent, but your attitude, of how you work and how you engage yourself, the more consistent you are with that, the faster you can learn and the better you get, especially with illustration, where you're really trying to draw all these things around you. You're trying to replicate so many different things. There's so much reference work you have to do, right? And so much studying. And so, yeah, just put in the time and the skills will come.
That's right. Put in the time and you can grow up to be like Chris.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so now we've got this really cool anglerfish thing going on. All right. So I'm going to get rid of that little flame just because I'll add that later. We're going to do it in post.
Right. It's be animated.
Yeah, going to do it in post. Add those glares. Okay, so bring those in. Okay. So I'm not going to worry about all this, difference in line thickness, whatever. Because again, this is just kind of placeholder stuff for me. All right. So now I feel like we're in a pretty good place where I can show you guys how I'm going to lay in my ink, my darks, my kind of my liner brush stroke. So we're going to reduce this down. Actually, no, real quick. I'm just going to save it.
And while Chris is saving, RB is asking, what brush do you use? And I think Roy just mentioned it a second ago, but we'll let Chris answer the question. What brush are you using?
So for this, I'll show you guys. So it says Jen's pencil taper. Actually, it's Jen's pencil brush. I saved the taper version because that's how I like it. But it's Jen's Classens, I believe, Jens, and his last name I think is Classens. And I believe he has either a Gumroad or something where he sells his brushes. Really, really incredible concept artist. But that's what I've been using a lot lately. I really like his pencil texture that he has on that brush.
Very cool.
And so for this inking part, so now I'm going to reduce it way down, just so I can kind of see it enough. But I don't want it to really interfere with my eye as I'm really laying in these darks. So I've already got this thing going, and so I'm just going to keep going with it. Just gonna make sure it's black, and then if I go to my brushes, I saved it in here somewhere, didn't I? Yeah, so it's just Kyle's ink box. There might be more to that. I don't know. It's in the ink brushes, even though I know there's a million of them. It's I can kind of show you really quick. You can kind of see the brush itself. It's always kind of cool to see the brush. You know, so it's kind of got this textured. And we're going to go ahead and, why isn't that black? Let's see, flow, make sure that flows up. And the cool thing about this is it's not completely black, which is totally fine. Eventually, I think with this is that there aren't going to really be any hard blacks or darks. Everything might get lightened. The opacity might get brought back a little bit as we lay in the color. Mm-hmm. So remember, I made that note, right? So now I've got it 20 point, 100%, and then I had it at 69% flow. Okay. So something around there. It doesn't have 70%. It's fine. Okay. So I want to make sure it's 20. And the reason why I really want to make sure that is how I'm working is so when I go to do these lines, I want to make sure that my pressure is the same as I do it. So if I have it at 40, all of a sudden I'm getting this really big. I might be able to get these thinner lines, but it's not feeling uniform with what I've already put down. So I want to avoid that.
Yeah, that's why we do that. You don't want to have consistency in your line weight, so that's good. Yeah. You can make notes to yourself.
So I'm just gonna go in.
And yes, Jen's class in the streams on Behance sometimes says Becca, so that'll be something cool to find.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. That's actually really awesome.
And then Steve says, okay, now ask for the what button to click to become a more awesome drawer. And
come on, Adobe, figure it out.
Yeah, where is it? And I think Steve says, I think it's under preferences and then awesomeize. Yeah.
There we go. You guys figured it out.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna start looking for some more brushes, even though of course remember that Adobe provides you with a ton of Photoshop brushes and created by the amazing Kyle T. Webster, and those are free to download, so check those out. Make sure you stay up to date on the updates, and there was some fresh new update on brushes for Fresco and Photoshop recently. So
nice.
Yeah, so make sure you check the links. I'll find the link for the brushes. There's a ton of brushes, and then it's always fun when you customize the brush to fit your art style, to fit your technique. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super awesome.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like a lot of the times the brush that you select with its default settings maybe isn't going to be what you need. So always make sure you go in and look at the settings, because it might just be a tweak, 1-2 tweaks away from being the brush that you really love. So I always kind of make sure I check my settings, because also, oops, that's a little shaky. I just noticed that I've had moments where I'm like, what is going on? And it's because, something's weird with the brush, or I forgot to change a setting. So I always kind of check in with that.
There's always something like you're on the wrong layer. You forgot to grab the right brush.
Yeah.
It's always something. The summer 2020 2022 brushes are here, and you can download them. I'm gonna find a clean link. Right now, I found a link, but it's very messy. So if somebody has a link, go ahead and leave it in the chat. And look at that. That's beautiful. There we go. Found it. Bam. Gonna add it to the chat, and Sam can make it a clickable link. Wade says 1 layer, 1 brush solves all of those problems. That's right. But when you're in the zone, you're going at it. You're drawing, sketching, and sometimes your hands need time to catch up. Oh, look at that. I like that. He's still holding on to the bottle. This is my bottle.
Still holding on, man. Yep.
I wasn't finished.
That's right. I'm going down with the ship.
Beautiful.
So just a few little things that kind of, it's always good to have in your design, especially if you're working flat like this. With as you ink, it's gonna flatten out your design no matter what. So you want to make sure you have things like here with the ellipses that kind of help push that volume.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, get into the practice of having a line over another line, like the big tooth in front of right behind the bottle. It kind of hides some of those steps. It hides the lines of where the skull begins, and that starts giving you that depth of field effect.
Right. It's nice having those overlaps in shape.
Overlaps. That's right. RB says 1 brush, 1 layer, 1 beer. This is a family-friendly program. But Steve says, I got the beer part down. Drink responsibly.
That's right.
And,
I don't know if pirates do that, but
that's why they're pirates. They can make another run when they're ready.
Yeah.
And do you have like a preferred starting point? I know the sketching could take you in many different directions when you're working on composition, but like the inking, is there a starting point for you?
I think it's, probably what I wanted, I think for me, I'm obviously just doing it right where you're starting visually. I think this is what I want to work out first, because I feel like the other things might fall into place. But yeah, sometimes it's just what looks like fun. Like if I'm feeling it and I'm like, yeah, I want to get in and do this, that. Sometimes if I still feel like I need to, like I'm warmed up, but maybe I just need to kind of just do some lines. I might work on something that's a little less important. Because there's always, with some of this stuff, there's always a little bit of kind of like busy work or, just kind of building out shapes. So maybe that might be something that I would work on. But yeah, for this, I definitely just wanted to kind of go right for it, go to the good stuff. And this stuff in here, these cracks, I don't think I'm going to do a lot of that with this ink. I think what I'm going to probably end up doing is put those on a different layer. And so when I go to lay down my color, I'm going to probably have the color pushing through. So instead of it being a black, it's going to probably be on a multiply layer and kind of absorb some of the colors from underneath. So it's not as harsh, Because what happens, if I'm going everywhere and I'm doing lines here and I've got all these cracks and everything, like if I start doing that everywhere, it's going to get really busy. The color's not going to matter as much at that point, and it's really going to become a ink comic book style drawing where it's just going to be a two-tone kind of style, which I don't want to do. I really want it to feel, when you get it, you're kind of getting these big colors, and there's space for, here's a great example. You really want space for these textures to breathe. You want to be able to see those textures and like enjoy them, but if I had details everywhere and all these things, it's all of a sudden that texture becomes a little less important. And I think for this specific project would kind of end up working against us in the end.
So less is more.
In this particular one, yes. I think if you look at the concept art for like how they design Iron Man's suit, it's like everything in the kitchen sink. They're like, what if his arm broke apart into like a coffee cup and then his foot flew off and filled itself up with coffee and then it's insane. So yeah, but for this, especially because it's animation, and I think keeping that theme of that's what we're kind of working this towards, is we also want to make sure that this doesn't outshine our characters as well. So having those big places of color and those big shapes are going to help the characters stand out as well.
Nice. Now make sure everybody stays tuned for the Illustrator Creative Challenge with Claddy from Print My Soul. Immediately following, join video content creator Alex Hogue as he walks you through his video editing workflow for action and adventure content. And this is where I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask David now. Chris, sorry. I don't know where David came from. But Chris, are you going to draw different elements and different layers so that you can also animate some of those pieces?
Oh, God. That's a great idea. I should think about that. I mean, the plan was no. I mean, the idea was this was going to be a very static design, and maybe even not. This could be something that could be used because we're not going to put in a background either. This is we're really focusing on the design of the hideout, and so this wouldn't necessarily be
animated,
a still or a frame, but it could be. So I don't think that's a terrible idea. I mean, I definitely designed it so it could sit in an environment if it needed to, or if I wanted to flesh it out later. I just didn't think I had the time to do it.
Right.
And I'm almost positive I don't, because this obviously is going to, this all takes a little while. But yeah, it's actually a great idea. I'm, because I don't animate. So I've done a little bit in my past, but it's not something that it's not that I can't do it. I'm not good at it, but it's a really long process, and I enjoy the process of illustration so much more, and those results. And animation is so much work for so few results. Now the results are amazing, right? Like making something move is kind of an incredible feeling. If you've never animated anything before, it's kind of unreal seeing your drawing or 3D model or something come to life. But yeah, I don't know. I could definitely do this in a way where if I later on, I'm going to take those out. I'm going to do that later. If I wanted to do this down the line, I could animate it down the line.
When you work in animation projects, you have to think about that. And you're right. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, of course.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Because, let's say we are talking about animation. Let's just go that way because that makes sense. So when we lay down this piece right here, well, if this is going to be swinging, right, we have to make sure when we draw this that we kind of go past that line, right? So that when this rotates from its anchor point.
Look at you. There you go.
Right? So let's say it's swinging.
Yeah.
You want to make sure if you draw it to right here, and then you're animating it and you're swinging, it might not. This is a terrible example. I'm trying to show that like if it's it could break.
Yeah, you'll see the gap. You start seeing gaps.
All of a sudden, you see the gap. You're gonna miss the color there, and then so yes, if we want to be doing this for animation, and let's just think about it that way. Let's just do it that way because that's actually a really cool idea. So this will be on the new line, a new
layer.
Thank you, and we'll just label that lantern.
Wade did say animation. Let's go, Chris.
Dude, I know you know what? I do need to be doing this kind of stuff. This is for the feed. This is for my reel. Gotta do my reels, man.
Yeah.
So with this and this, now that we're going to be thinking that way, we are going to have these kind of extra lines that might look weird.
Until you start coloring in.
Until I start coloring it. Exactly. So that's okay.
To give Chris extra work. You only has 2 hours today and 2 hours tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to convince my wife to, or maybe I can get Grandpa to help out with the kids. Get some extra hours in between streams here. Try to beef this thing up. But no, man, like I'm excited now, man, because I'm thinking like, oh, this could be really cool. I mean, imagine if you got this whole piece and that lantern is just kind of swaying. Oh, dude. Should this arm be coming up out of the ground?
Yeah, right. and the mouth and the skull opening up so you can drink.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, now it's getting crazy. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But that would be cool. That would be cool.
Every second counts. And Becca says that's exactly how I feel about animation. Yes, it's a lot of work. And I've dabbled and I've worked in animation projects, but I work as an illustrator. Like I do the drawings and let somebody else animate it, but you still have to consider the work that the animator is going to do so that you leave enough elements of the drawing for the animator to come in. And this is exactly what I was thinking earlier too, with the light moving. Wade says lights flickering, all the shadows changing. Yeah, you're gonna give the animator a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we're not doing any of that, Wade. Nope.
Steve says fog, spooky music.
All right, guys. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna be there with my violin. Just...
Oh. And Layla Limpo is asking, what canvas size and resolution do you usually start with?
Gosh, I feel like that changes for me all the time. But recently I've been doing everything in 11:17 format. You could work, especially since it is for animation, you could kind of have a framework for, like a 1080p setup. Or look up like how they're going to be filmed or how it's going to be formatted, so that you could at least frame your work as you're designing it. You can kind of see what the framework looks like. For me, this is for this class I've been in recently. We've been designing with 11:17, so I just was like, I'm going to run with that, and so I've been doing that. That's been nice.
Yeah, you draw in bigger and higher resolution that it's going to be required so that they can always size it down.
Right. What's going on? Oh, that's so funny. There we go. Okay. So now we've got that lantern. So you're right. So now when we go to animate it,
there you go.
right? Just gonna have that little. And even it's amazing, right? Because even something like that can change your whole piece, right? So that's cool. All right, let's keep going. And since we are kind of breaking it down, I think it's a good idea that I think what I'm gonna do is from here. Oops. I'm gonna kind of keep this all as one layer. And then we're going to build right where these stairs are right here. We're behind that candle. I'm going to put that on a different layer back there. Okay. I don't usually do that, but I kind of feel like because we were kind of talking about this animation and breaking layers up, it also might just be easier for me to make corrections later down the line. Okay, so I'll just do front area. Really cool name for that.
And name your layers. Keep track.
Yes. And then you also see some kind of like gooey cobweb stuff. I'm going to add that later. That's going to be done with color. So that's not going to have line work. And that'll kind of create a really cool effect for us in the end. Gonna do some of this little sand buildup.
And remember that no matter how far we get today or how far Chris gets today, tomorrow we'll be back at 9:30 a.m. Pacific for part 2. Join us as he finishes the design, adds color, and makes a final piece. And Wade is jumping in on the chat, says, might be past this stage, but have you flipped your canvas for a perspective change, fresh view?
Wade. No, I haven't. Because it looks so good. I don't need to. Wade. I don't know. I've got it. I'm not even going to do that right now. He's good. But yes, you can do that. I think I even, hold on. I feel like I made a hotkey. Is that it? No. How did I do it? God, I feel like I did a hotkey for this. I can't remember. But yeah, you can flip your canvas. That can help sometimes with your perspective and looking at your drawing. I'll do that later.
Yes, we are past this stage. How about that?
Yeah.
We're going to go.
Did you see how many drawings I had to do, Wade? Did you see that? I worked it all out already, okay? Everything's going to be perfect.
Sam Peterson's coming to your defense. Says, gosh, Wade. And Wade says, you do you, Chris. There you go.
Thank you.
Go.
Yeah, Wade and Sam are both awesome illustrators.
Oh, yeah.
And Wade's usually the moderator for when I host.
Okay.
He always knows so much more than I do. So it's always like, Wade, what is the answer? Please.
Nice. Good answer, Dan. That's right, Wade. There you go.
So kind of coming in here, doing some cool fun shapes. Oops. And too, I know people have talked about this on previous streams, but it is good to have. I don't usually work with smoothing on, but sometimes there's certain brushes, or let's say you don't have the best surface you're working on, or you can't get the lines that you're wanting that you can get. You can turn the smoothing on up here. There's just a slider. I usually never go past 20 if I do turn it on. But it is a little different because it does kind of drag behind your cursor a little bit. Like it's almost feels like a vector, like you're pulling it. but it can help a lot, especially like, you know, if you're getting shaky lines or if you're just not feeling it that day. It's definitely a good tool to use when needed.
Yeah, I like to have full control on my line work.
Yeah.
So I keep it off or very minimal.
Yeah, I don't use it very often, but I know it's good to know for some people, you know, or if you're just doing like really, you got to do some really graphic work, really clean work, but you either don't have the time or you just kind of want to, you know, push through some of that. It can be it's a nice helper tool.
Yeah, I work a lot in Illustrator, so when you're using the pen tool, you're gonna get that perfect line. You know?
There you go. Yeah, that's what I mean. It feels like it feels like a vector brush when you start adding that smoothing.
Yeah.
But if you're working in vectors, it's like you're good to go already.
Yeah. Sometimes it's too perfect, so you do want that organic look to your line work. But yeah, play around with the settings and find what works for you for your art style. Looking good.
Okay.
We still got another 30 minutes to go, so moving right along. Looking so good here. Amazing.
I know. I always think I'm gonna have all this time, and it just flies by.
Like, what am I gonna do for 2 hours?
And then you're like, oh, I got barely anything done in 2 hours.
That's it. Plus, you spend a lot of time talking, and so yeah, it's not the same. It's not 2 hours straight focused. It's talking and sharing. So
exactly. It's its own art, I think. Learning how to stream and keep people interested. Okay.
If you're joining us, freelance illustrator and character designer Chris Blackstock is exploring environment designs and why it's just as important as the characters. You need to go ahead and watch the replay so you can watch this whole video from the very beginning, where Chris shows us the different compositions that led up to this one being the best or the final version. So check it out.
You won't believe what design I ditched.
Right. Just when you thought that looks good, we're done. Boom.
Yep. I was working on an assignment this past week, and it was creating a story or a story moment, you know, between two characters, and I was so proud of this design I came up. You know, I felt like I was like, oh, I knocked this out of the park. I'm done. I can move. You know, I can go do some work and some other stuff. And I was, you know, showing it to my wife. I was like, what do you think? She's like, that's boring. And I was just like crushed. I was like, what? I was like, this is a great drawing. And it was the same thing with this. It was like, yeah, it's a great drawing, but what's special about it? You know, like why does anybody care about it? What's the story? And so I really looked at it and I was like, you know what? You're right. And so I went back and retooled it, and I love the final result that I got, and I think it was 10 times better than what I had. But it was just another example of pushing myself and trying to come up with something better than what I had, and not settling. I think that's a big thing. It's like, don't try not to settle, you know, because it's easy to settle in to habits that you have with certain styles or things. But and I think this is specifically with entertainment industry, because you're usually asked to mimic other people's styles or change how you work to match a film or a style of a TV show. So kind of early on being able to stop yourself from having to do a lot of work later on because you decided that you didn't want to change that cool drawing. Once you get better at that, and it's going to help you a lot in the long run.
And I think that goes back to what you mentioned earlier, ego. Sometimes because we're working as a team, we're working with other people. This is not just your drawing for yourself. It is a team effort, and there are other people involved that you have to consider. So don't feel like there's an attack on you.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's been plenty of times, and I think that is something that you have to learn as a professional. And I think I would love to say it's something that for people starting out, it's a lot harder, but there are plenty of professional artists that have an extremely hard time taking criticism. But you should definitely take it in stride and always be open to other people's ideas, even if you don't agree with them. I think it's just important to kind of allowing yourself to explore other things. It's just a good habit. And I think one of the big things with working professionally, and what a lot of people look for when hiring, is when you interview or when you start working, maybe do tests, or your personality, how you interact with them, how quickly do you work, what's your interactions online, email, on Zoom. Those things all have an impact on who's going to hire you and work with you. So always be kind. Always think ahead, think forward, don't think back. Don't take things to heart. People are just trying to make good art together, and sometimes it's going to hurt your feelings, but most of the time it is unintentional. You can I'm sure people, you can run into bad clients or, whatever, but for the most part, people just are trying to make good art, and so whatever you can do to help get there, I think is really important.
And you mentioned your wife as one of your art commentators
Yes.
in your work, and I have that same situation with my wife sometimes, and she'll look at it and like, I seen you do better, and like, dang, I gotta get back on it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other artists, friends, mentors, colleagues that you like to bounce off some of these art designs and compositions?
Yeah, I have a few people that I went to school with, because I went to the Academy of Art in San Francisco, and so I've got some people that from there I talk to a lot. Another one of my friends who I actually met down here, but she knew a bunch of our friends in San Francisco. Her name's Caitlin Kuwald. She's a really great illustrator, but we don't illustrate the same things at all, which is really, but she's just really great designer and colorist. So the things that I struggle with, she can really help me with. And also feel like just some artists, everybody's kind of got this different viewpoint, and her stuff is, a little bit softer, a little more graphic. So it's nice to have artists that make art like you, so there's a similar subject matter that you're working on that can, help. But it's also nice to have artists and friends that are completely opposite of you, so that you really get a different take on what you're making. Kind of get a little more of an outside perspective, like a professional outside perspective. So she's been great for that. And if you guys, I think it just ended. She did a coloring book recently called Coloring in Place. And it's got a lot of cool illustrators that were involved. I was involved as well. And we just got successfully funded on Kickstarter to get this book printed, this coloring book. But yeah, you should definitely check it out. I think it's Coloring in Place or Color in Place. I can't remember.
I see coloringinplace.com.
Yeah, that's probably
the
it.
Bridget Alliance. This quarter, they're supporting the Bridget Alliance. No, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So coloringinplace.com, and it's all the proceeds go to different charities each month.
Yep, and there's your name.
Several months.
Fox
There you
Biker.
go.
$1.
There you go.
There you go. All
Get
right.
it.
All right.
So it was started during COVID, and all these kids were stuck inside, not going to school.
Mm-hmm.
So her and Liesel, gosh, I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. Kind of came up with this idea of kind of producing these coloring book pages for kids, and then taking those proceeds and donating those to charities or people that were in need at the time. And then it kind of grew from there, and they decided like, oh, we should just keep this thing going.
Mm-hmm.
And so so now there's a book coming out, which is really cool.
Very nice. Very nice. Very cool drawings and illustrations. Thank you, Sam Peterson, for the clickable link to coloringplace.com. Yes. And that's it. You have to have you don't have to, but it's nice to have colleagues and other artists that you can have conversations with about your drawings, your creations, your compositions, because having an outside eye look at your work and give you honest feedback will only make you stronger, will make your drawing stronger, your composition stronger, and they can see things that you don't see, because we're too close to the drawing sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's so true though. I mean, you get way too close, and can completely affect the outcome of the drawing and what you're trying to achieve. So it's always good. It's good for you to get fresh eyes, step away, come back to it. But it's also great to bounce it off of somebody that you trust,
right?
That's going to be honest with you. Plenty of people are like, yeah, it looks great.
Right.
You're like, I don't want great. I already know it's like, I want critical feedback. Like what could I improve? Yeah. I don't want great. I want better than that.
Yep. And Elizabeth Mock says, you know what? I finally figured out why you sound familiar. You're like a replica of Adam from Lucid Pixel. What?
I don't know who that is, but
we'll look him up. Do they have skills?
Do they have skills? Maybe it's the mumbly voice, or who knows.
And they can draw. Oh my gosh. Yes, they can draw. Okay. Check him out. Do a little Google search and check. He is a YouTuber and he's a creature digital painter. Yes. I just did a quick Google search. Oh my goodness. Adam Duff.
He's taking my shine. Is he taking my shine away?
Let's see what he sounds like.
You can't talk about artists that are better than me, guys.
Right.
This
No.
is my stream now. What's his name again?
Adam, and I pulled up his YouTube. Adam Duff. His voice is familiar to yours. That's all. It's very familiar. But no, his skills are. And like you mentioned a second ago, we relate with other artists, but sometimes their styles are way different. Even though they may be character artists, they have a whole different art style and composition and way about how they use their tools. So so he is not better than you though, Chris.
Thank you.
You are a champ.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks. Good. That's all I needed to hear, actually.
There you go.
Thank you. I feel better now. It's okay. Yeah, it's always funny. when you have people that, you know, maybe trying to find you some freelance work, or you're like, you know, it works for this company. And I was just like, yeah. And then and then you're like, well, I am a character designer. I am an illustrator, but it's, you know, there's so many different styles and there's so many different things where it's like, most of the time it's like, it's not a match, right? But like trying to explain to people that aren't involved in that, of like, you know, just because you're a great artist or illustrator, like, doesn't mean you're a match for most projects, right?
Right. Everybody has their preferences and art styles and type of characters. So there's always going to be someone who is better suited. But just like Elizabeth Mock is saying, not saying anyone is better than anyone else, because art should not be a competition.
No.
No.
It makes it not fun.
Right. No, and it's not a competition. Don't look at it as competition. Even if we have to give the talent their little ego push. You're the best, Chris.
Thank you.
And we're down to our last 15 minutes. So tell us what's going on here. You are already working on the stairs?
Yeah, I'm working on the stairs. I'm trying to just kind of get some of these. The little rib cage.
And so the steps were added to the rib cage left behind.
Yeah. So, right. And so we've got this, we're calling it the spine road.
Okay.
I also did reduce the size of my brush by 5 pixels. So I'm working at a 15 right now. And so I'm going to do that probably as I go up to about here. And then this whole back will probably be like a 10 or maybe a little bit more than that. But just so that this style that I'm doing, this graphic style, it's really about line weight. And I kind of really want to have this ship and everything really pushed back. So I want all my biggest lines in the front. It's not going to be really noticeable. Like, I don't want it to feel like 3 different sections, right? It needs to blend. But, you know, if I do need to make these lines thicker, I can just go ahead and thicken it. But I want to start already at a smaller scale so that it's feeling pushed back as I'm drawing it. And then if I can find places to blend that so it doesn't feel like there's harsh transitions at all.
Right. And no, that's a good idea. I never thought about that. Just change your brush size as you move, because it's further away, so it should not be as bold and clear.
Right. And you're going to do that a lot with, you know, when I go to color, that's going to be pushed back with my color choices, you know, the temperature of the colors. And these are going to be cooler colors back here to drop it back. And there's not going to be as much contrast. But since I am going really heavy with kind of the graphic push on this one, I want the graphic part of that to have some of those same rules as I'm moving forward. And like I said, also, is that some of this is going to be some of these lines, these cracks, all these, you know, those are going to be detailed on another layer. And then I'm going to reduce that opacity a little bit and put those on multiply layers. So I'm really just trying to find my big shapes. Because I do want it to be, by the end of this, I want it to be really legible. I don't want you to be looking at it and being like, you know, sometimes those black and white drawings can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you don't have big black like shadow blocking, which I was going to do, but I kind of decided against it, and I think I'm going to do it with color instead. I don't think I want to do it full black.
Yeah, so sometimes you want the color to help bring the artwork out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't want to do this so heavy with ink. That kind of takes away from it. So
Elizabeth says, not saying anyone is better. It's a friendly competition, correct. And I think when people say you remind me of X, is not to put you down, but to create a connection that you may not otherwise have had, is usually a positive connotation. Yes, you remind me of X, and I like X. And I love coming up across portfolios of other artists because
gosh,
it's inspiration to me. It's inspiration.
Yeah. And playing off that, since I'm probably not going to be able to get a whole lot farther, I'm going to finish up this little part here, and then I'll show you guys kind of some of the reference I'm using, because that's a great time to talk about that.
Yes.
And how I was inspired to make kind of the style of this piece and what I'm using as my style guide.
Okay,
so we're there. We're good.
Save.
So we're going to turn that off. Let's save it. Save it.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And then turn that off. So now we've got some reference here.
Look at that.
Let's see. What did this? Oh, that's why. So let's bring that down. Just shrink it down there.
And thank you, Sam, for Chris's links, the Behance link and the Instagram link. Go ahead and follow Chris on his Behance or Instagram or both.
So here we've got, these are from Gravity Falls, and then there's some DuckTales, the new DuckTales backgrounds. So with both, there's a lot of really graphic brushstroke with a lot of really great flat kind of color. And then what I really, really liked, so here you see a lot of the line weight. So I might even go even further with what I've got now, and I might thicken up some of those. But for now, I think I'm in a good place. Because really what I want to do is I really want to lay in with these textures. They really could have gotten more detail, right, with these and some, but instead they're letting the textures do some of the work. And then another thing that I really want to add as we kind of get to the end of it, which hopefully I can get to tomorrow, is we're going to add these kind of on top of the layer, on top of everything, these textures, right? It's going to be the moss and these other things. And that'll really, it's combining these very traditional comic styles, but then using these great like painterly effects on top, which I think one helps push the environments back a little bit, but also gives you these great little moments of small detail that I think people really, I love looking at them, like on this sign, just those little blades of grass and, moss growing. So stuff like that, I think, is really going to make the piece really pop, really stand out. And it's going to help balance all these big black lines, So this is definitely the inspiration. I love the color palettes they use. So tomorrow will be a lot of, this will all be done. If I can get to it, this will be done by tomorrow, and I will have some color laid out already so that we can look at that and talk about that. And I might even see if I can try to get a little spot rendered out a little bit more, just so we can have our own style guide of kind of what the rest is going to be finished, like to what degree.
Yeah, that's good. And when you do get a reference images together, that kind of you start to see where your drawing is going to go and what you could add to your drawing. And I always refer to it as you're working through your work. Sometimes with me though, what ends up happening, I get lost in my drawing, I forget my references, and it ends up being, again, just like my every other drawing that I draw.
Yeah, you gotta, it's true, you gotta really you have to be actively thinking about it, reminding yourself. And I think the recent project that I did, where it was really, I had to replicate styles that already existed, and I think that was a good testament and a good project for me, because it really made me. I had to constantly cross-reference and like really break down somebody else's style, why it worked, how I could use it. You know, could I make it better? You know, is it? Because that's another question too. Is you kind of start to ask. It's like, well, can I make this better? Mm-hmm. Can I make it different? Like what? How can I add my voice to it? Yes. Right. Because the things that I was working on were concepts. It wasn't like final artwork for something that was already established. It was still in the exploration stage. So, and those parts, which is why it's so fun doing concept art, is that's the time where you get to add your voice, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of get to play with the style and see if you can throw in your 2 cents.
Right. That's right. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Sam. Becca. Elizabeth says, man, Gravity Falls was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. And Sam says, looking forward to the color.
Yeah. So am I. I'm a little nervous just because color's always, color's hard. And I'm definitely kind of experimenting here. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. You guys will definitely see something like this. Is a piece I've done things like this, but this is kind of a whole new style for me to kind of explore. So, yeah, I'm excited too, because I think if I do it right, it could look really special. So,
we'll find out tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Pacific for part 2. With Chris. Join us as he finishes the design, add color, and makes the final piece. Make sure you stay tuned for the Illustrator Creator Challenge with Claddy from Print My Soul. Immediately following, join video content creator Alex Hogg as he walks you through his video editing workflow for action and adventure content. That's what I need to learn a little bit more of video editing.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yes.
Right. A few little more moments here.
Yeah, we got time. Got a few more minutes.
Okay,
And Clever
just tell
says,
me when.
Okay, I'll tell you when. Clever says this is looking very fun. Yes, it is. I want to go hang out at that place. I want to walk those steps, look at that fish, and imagine that fish swimming. Or I don't know. I say fish. It's more like a
it's like a fish. Fish, sea monster. It's got a fish tail.
Sea monster.
Call it a fish. It's a big fish.
It's a big fish. And and just hang out in the breeze. I did spend a few days at the beach this past weekend. Oh man. Nice. So I can hear the ocean in the background looking at this.
What beach?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. So
Atlanta, okay.
Yeah, so there's a few hours from here is the coast. You can get to the Atlantic, and there's along the coast in South Carolina and Georgia is a lot of islands, and nice. So there's a couple of very tourist-like spaces you can go to hang out, and Hilton Head is the name of the island I was in.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. We're gonna take a trip to California eventually, real soon, and hang out in Long Beach. That's usually a spot too.
Yep. Long Beach is dope. Yeah, I'm down here in Monrovia, which is the foothills of LA County, right next to Pasadena. So
okay.
Yeah, I get out to Long Beach occasionally, and
I think it's easier to get to Santa Monica from where you are. Or I guess both.
No, for me, Long Beach is easy.
Okay.
Santa Monica is crazy because I'm on the northeast side, so I can take the 210 to the 605, and it takes me straight there.
Okay.
If I gotta go to Santa Monica, I gotta take the 210 to the 110, maybe take the 510. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, across the city. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, if you have to cross over downtown LA or anywhere near it, it can be a nightmare.
Sam Peterson says, I'm in Long Beach. Sam Peterson is in Long Beach. We need to go hang out at Sam Peterson's house and play with all your drawing materials while we hang out at the beach.
Yeah, at the beach. I'll bring my 24-inch Cintiq.
There you go. That's right.
Pop it. Bring a little generator.
Mm.
I'm ready, guys.
Yeah, big battery. That's all.
Yeah. I'm ready.
I want to remind everybody that Adobe Live replays are available when we're offline, and we have replays both on YouTube and Behance. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on creative goodness. And Misty says, I live near you, Chris. I'm in Highland Park.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, my brother used to live in Highland Park. Actually, my sister did too. Until my brother lives in Alaska now. My sister lives in San Diego. But
look at that.
Yeah, I love Highland Park.
Nice.
It's a great spot.
Elizabeth says, I'm over in Michigan. Sam, bring your whole desk. We'll find an outlet. That's right. We'll plug into the city. We'll plug into the city. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. Make sure you're back tomorrow at 9:30 Pacific for part 2 with Chris as he finishes the design, adds color, and makes a final piece. I am DTM. Follow me on any of your platforms, Delta Tango Mike. And make sure you check out the links for Chris here on Behance and Instagram. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Wade, for the chat. And everyone else who left a comment. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, guys.